please give me an argument for this character being high up. I'm more than willing to listen, but I've yet to hear anyone come up with anything smart to put him higher. I'm gonna have Jin as number 1.
Whether you like him or don't like him, is nothing you could do about him because he's number 1. Whether you like him or don't like him, is nothing you can do about him because he's number 1.
If you know Jin in Tekken 7, is arguably like top 5.
Oh yeah, is he? You were willing to listen, right? Let's talk then, main man. What's up guys, it's me again, Nova, the edgy karate guy, your Tekken buddy. Today I'll be doing a video response to main man's take on the Mishimas, in a sense of what they represent in terms of gameplay and their respective powers as Tekken characters. You guys all know MainManSWE. He's a prominent Tekken content creator, he's a very dedicated and passionate Kazuya player. His execution is notoriously world class, and I really admire his passion for his character, because of course I can relate to that. I also appreciate his Tekken content in general, and whether you like the guy or not, he's a reference in Tekken. My main issue with Mainman is that there is actually a merit to many things that he says. Many of his previous statements about Tekken as a whole and about specific Tekken characters are actually legit. But the thing is, when it comes to this guy in particular, and this guy in particular, you always have to take main man's statements with a grain of salt because they are mostly biased half-truths, unfortunately. And I can actually prove that objectively. So let's address his points and his take on the Mishimas. According to main man, this guy is a deeply flawed character. He always ranks him as the absolute hardest character in the game to play optimally, and also the hardest character to be effective with.
This guy is very, very problematic in terms of flexibility. He has pretty much one game plan or two game plans, that's it.
Meanwhile, this guy, according to main man, is an S-tier menace. He's always ranked as a top 5 contender. He's a perfect character with no flaws, and he's so powerful, so overwhelming that he's only limited by those who play him. Doesn't matter the fact that Jin is statistically the character that loses the most in the entire history of the Tekken franchise. Doesn't matter the fact that his current package is completely overshadowed by true S-tiers like Feng, Akuma, Giz, Julia, Zafina, you name it. For starters, when you analyze main man's take and his statements, you will realize there is some merit in it. There are some valid truths in what he says, but it is so tainted by bias and selective blindness that you have to take your own conclusions on it. So what I'll do is, I'll take main man's half-truths and turn them into actual truths. Let's start with Kazuya. Kazuya is an advanced character. That is true, main man is correct. You need pristine electric winged god fist block punishment. If your opponent is around -14, -15, you have to have the execution to launch him. You also need solid defensive fundamentals to duck mid-highs. You need solid movement to whiff punish people with the electric. Because he can't really count on effective panic buttons. This is not an effective panic button. So having solid defensive skills is the only way you can extract his full potential. That is also true. Main man is 100% correct on this. Meanwhile, Kazuya has also the most oppressive and brain-dead coin flip wake up 50-50 in the entire game, and it peaked the moment he received Demon Steel Pedal in FF4. effectively forcing the opponent to take the coin flip so they don't get soccer kicked in the head, and then is forced to take the coin flip anyway, but now with even less life. Oldschool Kazuya didn't have an effectively synergized ground hitting tool to force the opponent to get up, since down 3+4 stomp was too slow, reactable, and exposed to counter hit, launching wake up low kicks. Now FF4 can murder people who stay on the ground or try a wake up kick. They made Kazuya Okizeme completely brain dead in Tekken 7, to the point a Kazuya player with much less Tekken skills than the opponent always has a fighting chance by resorting to a brain dead lottery that can, quickly snowball out of control. And this snowball effect, it is effective on every single level of play, from casual to professional. Kazuya's 50-50 is effective in every single level of play. Doesn't matter if your ID is Lucky Claw Forever Hugs and Kisses, or if you are Arslan Ash or Knee himself. Kazuya's 50-50 will be effective on you. So Main Man completely disregards that, and he only focuses on the most dire aspects of Kazuya gameplay, like he's the only flawed character in the game by lacking something, which is a proper 13 frame mid poke in down forward one, even though he has this and this. He talks like Kazuya's electric isn't broken in Tekken 7 by having the best range and hitbox of all electrics, and also reliably tracking to the weak side. It takes a perfectly timed sidestep left to actually evade the electric in Tekken 7. He talks as if the most casual sidewalk left is an universal answer to Mishima's offense, like we're in PS3 Tekken, when it's really not the case.
So incredibly easy to counter by just stepping to the left.
He pretty much is talking as if every Tekken character is Lily. You often see professional players like Katif Butt getting caught by a brain-dead hell sweep loop because they're actually terrified of sidewalking and getting clipped by a realigned electric or a homing instant while standing 2.
Dude, Kazuya barely has good matchups. Barely has one. It's just, if you want to win, Kazuya is not the character you want to play. Trash in tournaments, trash online. He's bottom 5 online, and in tournaments, no one plays him in tournaments, and it's for a reason. It's like Nee says, the character just fundamentally doesn't work in high level due to the sidestep left being too exploitable. It's too easy to counter even a really good Kazuya player. The counterplay is too effective. And the weaknesses on the character are too glaring. Great reads. Another one! Another one! The sidestep left being too exploitable. It's too easy to counter even a really good Kazuya player. The counterplay is too effective. Electric is still a launcher. You still have wave dash, you know, to realign with side steps. To realign with side steps. To realign with side steps. The sidestep left being too exploitable. It's too easy to counter even a really good Kazuya player. The counterplay is too effective.
I wouldn't say he downplays Kazuya. People say, he downplays Kazuya, but that's really not the case because he's honest to the point of recognizing parts of Kazuya's strengths. The issue doesn't lie in what Main Man says, but rather what he does not say.
Okay, so why is Jin number 1? There is literally nothing Jin can't do.
True. In a virtual sense, it's true.
He has a collection of attacks we can call perfect.
Also true.
Back to 1 is one of the best round closers in the game.
Agreed, true, but it's much more than that. Back to 1 is much more than just a round closer. I mean, to me this is the absolute best multi-purpose move in the game. despite the fact that most Jin players don't use it to its fullest potential. Its power lies in back 2 alone and not back 2-1 specifically. You can counter hit confirm this string, you can float confirm people with this, you can keep harassing people with back 2 alone. It goes way beyond round ending, but yeah, it is probably the best round ending tool in the game.
Forward 4 is one of the best moves in the game.
Assuming you can consistently convert counter hit F4, then it's true, which is really not the case for like 99.7% of the Jin player base, but he completely disregards that as if every Jin player can consistently convert counter hit F4. Let's look into the past. Jin's F4 was so much stronger than his current version, you have no idea. Coming to Tekken 7, Jin's F4 received 2 nerfs in 2 different fronts. It received a severe nerf on his downward hitbox. Just for perspective, this is old school Jin F4. It was so powerful, its hitbox was so good, it was a specialized answer against evasive stances like Xiaoyu's AOP, Eddie's Relax, Zafina's Mantis, Tarantula, and so on. If an Eddie dared to transition to Relax on you, bam, F4. Now this is what happens. And you are dead, pretty much. The same goes for this. And also this. And also this. This is absolutely unthinkable in old school Tekken. Jin's old school F4 would clip them all out of these evasive stances and evasive moves. Jin's old school F4 was so powerful that his low hitting hitbox allowed Jin to hit grounded opponents on some very specific angles that the Jin player must have been knowledgeable of in order to extract its full potential for Okizeme. This property alone made his old school Okizeme completely terrifying, especially considering he could refloat people with back 2 confirm 1 if the opponent tried to back roll, front roll, or quickly stand up. You just couldn't stand up wrong against Jin. Then came Tekken 7 and they decided no, F4 will not hit grounded under any circumstances. As you can see, it doesn't hit grounded under any circumstances. Look. The second nerf was the lateral coverage for F4. Back then, provided you created a significant plus, like a +6 or something, F4 would provide you decent coverage to Jin's strong side. If someone tried to sidestep left, you would clip him out of it. Like so. Now, Jin's F4 is completely linear to both sides. If you move 1 millimeter sideways, you will step Tekken 7 Jin's F4. The only way you won't be able to step Tekken 7's Jin's F4 is if he's +8 or further on you, like so. See? You can't step it, nor sidewalk it or anything for that matter. Then came Season 4 and the last nerf, a nerf which would make Jin a completely inaccessible character, which is the gigantic pushback on counter hit F4. They made it so that Jin would only be able to convert counter hit F4 through the Zen transition. Their intention was to make Jin completely unable to convert the counter hit combo from a raw F4, so you would be relegated to a down 2 on the ground. Like so. But even so, Jin players still found a way, which is the elite conversion from counter hit F4. Two things. First, Main Man completely disregards the difficulty involved in converting raw counter hits F4. He completely disregards it when he says it's a perfect move and a S tier move. He doesn't consider that like 3 in 6,000 Jin players will actually convert this, and I'm actually being quite generous. And also, Main Man will completely disregard the fact that this conversion will lead to a combo of 68 damage at best. That all being said, I just want to clarify that despite all the nerfs it suffered, I agree with Main Man. Provided the player can consistently convert counter hit roll F4, it is extremely powerful and probably the most powerful keep out tool in the game. Second, I was completely in favor of this nerf. I was completely in favor of it. I actually wanted to be like this. I want Jin to be as absolutely inaccessible and elitist as possible as a character. People have to earn this power. This cannot be taken for granted. If a Jin player wants to play Jin at the highest level, he has to earn this power. I'm always in favor of nerfs that make the character more difficult and harder to earn his rewards. Whereas at the same time, I'm against nerfs that mess with the factors of core gameplay and identity. But let's continue then.
Electric is one of the best do everything multi-purpose attack moves in the game.
Yeah, I agree, but you're forgetting that Jin's Electric Wing Hook Fist is not the Mishima Electric Wing God Fist. Not at all. Their hitboxes are vastly different. I won't even mention the fact that Jin's Electric Wind Hook Fist is an immediate premature screw, but it is compensated by a higher base damage, 25. The problem with Jin's Electric is first, it doesn't have the Electric Wind God Fist tracking. See? No matter how plus you are, it will be casually stepped or walked to the right, to Jin's weak side. See? And second, because of its high hitting hitbox, it hits really high. Because of it, Jin will often whiff the punish if the opponent recovers in a low profile stance, like he's recovering from a move that puts him on low profile, so he completely evades Jin's Electric. I'll show you an example. Compared to Jin's Electric, the Mishima Electric is a fucking wall. Its hitbox is a fucking wall in front of you.
His parry is overpowered.
True, Jin's parry is not only the best parry in the game, but it is also the best reactive tool in the game. But there's this, Jin's parry cannot be used by everyone. Let me more properly rephrase it. The optimal usage of Jin's parry cannot be used by every single player, because there is a factor involved that automatically excludes a lot of people, and this factor is called reflex. Jin's parry, the optimal usage of his parry, requires reflex. Some people have it, some people don't, they just don't. You will often see Tekken God's Omega level players that can't scratch even the surface of Jin's unlimited reactive potential. Take yourself as an example. You are above Tekken God levels with Jin. I've seen you play him. You are an amazing Mishima player yourself. I commend your execution, the consistency of your counter hits down forward 2 perfect electric with Kazuya, your capacity for optimization, and so on. Even so, even you being an amazing Kazuya player, when it comes to Jin gameplay, with all due respect, I don't see you pulling off shit like this. And it's perfectly fine. But the truth is, you barely scratch the surface of his reactive potential. Your parry usage is limited to parry 2-4 or parry down 3+4, just like the everyday high level Jin. The truth is, you won't see the everyday Tekken God Jin going for multiple parries. You won't see the everyday Tekken God Jin actually discerning when he should parry and when he should Suigetsu strike instead. You don't see the everyday Tekken God Jin using CDS, sudden backwards evasion, and high crushing properties to completely annihilate people with the most devastating reactive answer in Tekken so far, which is CDS 1+2. Jin's reactive potential when it comes to his parry, his Suigetsu strike and CDS evasion is pretty much unlimited, considering his entire move list is a tool set for answers. They exist to be used in conjunction with his reactive tools. His reactive game alone completely sets him apart from the rest of the cast, and this completely separate discipline Jin players must master already debunks your flawed theory, your flawed claim that Kazuya is supposedly the most advanced character in the game. Bear with me. Whatever it is that you need to master with Kazuya, so do I. Except they are completely separate disciplines I also had to master. They are completely alien to you as a Kazuya player, and that you naturally can't replicate no matter how good of a Kazuya player you are, which I know damn well you are. Do you as a Kazuya player need to have pristine electric execution in order to extract the best punishment possible? Well, so do I. Except unlike yours, my electric can't come out at 13 frames. Do you need to master pristine movement with Kazuya? Well, so do I. Except my lateral movement is sabotaged and yours isn't. And I'll be covering more of that later. Do you need to display a powerful wave dash game? Well, so do I. Except your wave 50-50 is hundreds of miles better than mine. Whereas your 50-50 is absolutely unreactable, my Hell Sweep is reactable. And also, not only my FF3 has joke range, I mean, look at this. It has a terrible startup, it is very slow. The startup is a complete joke to the point you can literally fuzzy my wave 50-50 if I don't add extra maneuvers like wave dashing or stance cancelling to spice things up. So not only I need to master everything your character demands as a Mishima, but I also have to master completely separate disciplines that set my character apart from every other Tekken character, which is Jin's reactive game, the discipline that virtually makes him the ultimate Tekken character, and his advanced stance game, which is a completely separate discipline on its own. That is why I can tell you, main man, with absolute certainty, Kazuya is not even remotely close to the level of skill demands Jin has. Because unlike Kazuya, Jin as a character is based in a concept of virtual perfection revolving around his reactive game. Jin is the answer character, And I proudly coined this term for him, to the point it became a meme. This guy offers the tools to make the impossible possible. It's that paradox that you have to strive for perfection, but there's the human element involved. Specializing in Jin is literally climbing a metaphysical mountain with no peak, in which, you're perfectly aware you won't ever reach the peak, but you must keep climbing on and on and on and on and on. This mountain is called perfection. In a controlled environment such as a 2-assisted video, this character is the absolute best character in Tekken. Period. He's the absolute best. If you take 2 supercomputers to play Tekken, the one who picked Jin will invariably win the match. He will always win. He's the only Tekken character with an unlimited skill ceiling. That is why there is no limit to what you can do with him. But it is also this burden of perfection that makes him the character that absolutely loses the most since Tekken 5. It is worth mentioning though, despite all his bias, the main man displays a remarkable understanding of Jin as a character. Let's have a look.
But in general, he's kind of perfect. And he's only held back by his pilot, so that's the player. He's very, very hard to master. There's execution that goes into it, but mostly it's your knowledge of your own character. Like, where do I utilize all of these moves? Where do I place them to be as successful as possible? And all of these attacks have general utility, but it's also a case of like, they certainly have their golden scenarios where they're so much better. And
exactly, damn, you nailed it. This golden scenario you referred to is literally the burden of perfection Jin imposes on the player.
The best option to use, and it's just very complicated putting all of his tools together and make it a very effective package. Most Jin players can't do it.
There's a reason Jin specialists can have a ridiculously powerful Mishima as a side character anytime. I feel pretty confident to say I have a quite decent Devil Jin, and my win rate with him might tell something about it. But at the same time, we're yet to see a Kazuya player that can display the same level of performance and genius he has with his main when playing Jin. It simply doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. You don't see a Kazuya player who is a genius Jin player. It simply doesn't happen, and deep down, I know you know it. Another aspect you completely disregard when you put Jin in S tier is the gruesome and intentional flaws Namco put in him in Tekken 7, particularly his non-movement, which most people are completely unaware of, perhaps even you, and also his non-OKIZEME. I'll ask the spectator, what do you see when you look at Jin? You see a regular sized male character, right? What if I told you Tekken 7 Jin does not move as a regular sized male character and that his movement is actually sabotaged in comparison with any other character his size?
O pata-pata. Se liga nessa, velho. O cara tinha um papagaio. O cara tinha um papagaio, pô, que ficava chamando ele de corno o tempo todo. Aí um dia Ele jurou o papagaio, velho. Meteu o papagaio dentro da casa de sapato e saiu chutando o papagaio na casa, velho. Chutou o papagaio pela casa toda, numa meia hora. Depois de uma meia hora chutando, ele pensou que tinha matado o papagaio, pô. Quando ele abriu a caixa de sapato, o papagaio não para ele. Tu tava onde, como? Que não viu esse terremoto?
Movement in Tekken is absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. The capacity to create whiffs in Tekken is everything. If I have a character that doesn't have the advantages of a big character, I don't have the range of my fundamental moves, I don't have the range of the big characters, but at the same time, I suffer the same fate as big characters when it comes to lateral movement. You see, I don't get to have this. I don't need to explain to you how much of a difference being able to move laterally makes in a 3D game such as Tekken, right? Just for perspective, this is my win rate on PS3 Tekken, where traditional Tekken movements actually exists, and I can fucking move with Jin there. Then, aside from the non-movement in Tekken 7 Jin, there's also the non-OKIZEME in Tekken 7 Jin. And what I mean by non-OKIZEME is Tekken 7 Jin is the only character in the history of the Tekken franchise who is incapable, completely incapable of hitting grounded opponents who deliberately chose to stay on the ground. He is the only character So then I ask you, how can such a deeply flawed character be taken as an S tier? It's simple. He's not an S tier. A true legit S tier cannot possibly have such flaws in his gameplay. He just doesn't have these flaws. A true S tier can move around, a true S tier can hit grounded opponents, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. And not only he can do whatever the fuck he wants, he can excel at every single department because he is an S tier, he is broken. Now, this is a fucking true S tier.
So his counterplay is like too easy, is too unsafe, high commitment all the time. Very high commitment, very unsafe, 20 frame startup. But does it hurt when he does hit you? Yes, it does.
When you say Kazuya is always full commitment, that is also not true because you have the best conservative low option ever. Oh god, I wish I could have your full tracker ground hitting -12 +4 down back 4 to use in my way 50-50. God only knows how much I would crave having something like that. The most sincere feeling I have is that if I had that, it would make me fucking invincible! Also, you have the absolute best fundamental move in the game, which is the Mishima Flash Punch. You see, I'm a Devil Jin player as well. I can't overstate how freaking powerful Flash Punch is, and even you know it. Because you keep mentioning Heihachi Flash Punch, which is indeed broken in apocalyptical proportions, because he also received a broken range buff on his jab and down forward one to make matters even worse.
At the highest level of play, this move is... It's just beyond broken. So you'll check with this, right? -1 on block. Just check with this. And then he has all of the other oppressive stuff. But if you ever make the mistake of eating this 10 frame, he hit confirms and you die. It's so ridiculous.
I'll still hand it to you that your flash punch in particular doesn't have the best range among them, but it is still a flash punch nonetheless. The applications are still there for challenging, hit confirming, and so on. You need that knockdown, right, to start your offense with Kazuya. Do you know what would really make Tekken 7 Jin an S tier? A legit S tier? Your abomination Kazuya down back 4. You, above everyone else being a Kazuya player, should know what a difference having a -12 low makes. The abyss there is between -12 lows and -13 lows. Whenever I react and block my opponent's low pokes, they pay 16 damage. Whenever they react to my key low poke, I pay double the damage at the very least. If I may say, I believe I know my character inside out in its every detail from Tekken 4 to Tekken 7 so far. I really dedicate to this character, just like Mainman dedicates himself to Kazuya, because he represents my martial art in real life. Trust me when I say people who claim Tekken 7 Jin is a S tier are absolutely delusional. They don't know what they're talking about. And why do I say that? Because Tekken Tag 2 Jin is pound for pound miles and miles stronger than Tekken 7 Jin. Starting with the fact he's actually able to move like a character his size should. But also his key fundamental moves are stronger, and he has the most sophisticated and oppressive Okizeme in the entire Tekken franchise. Because this particular Okizeme game from Oldschool Jin demanded that you had a very deep knowledge on hitboxes and hurtboxes in order to extract its fullest potential. You pretty much had to be able to see hitboxes and hurtboxes by naked eye. But since we're Jin players and we're built different, we can do that. Another reason Tekken Tag 2 Jin is miles stronger than Tekken 7 Jin is the fact that Zen cancels were made much more negative on Tekken 7. So I can't capitalize with my frame perfect Zen cancels as much as I could in Tekken Tag 2. The greatest example of this is back forward 2-3 into Zen. Back then, I could frame perfect Zen cancel this move into -12, and I always frame perfect Zen cancel, which means my opponents could not punish me with a standard down 4 June 13 frames check. If my opponent's character didn't have a 12 frame mid in his move list, I was provided with a significantly damaging 15 frame mid string with decent tracking that I also made perfectly safe on block through player skill, and which also gave me plus 17 on hit. Plus freaking 17! Do you have any idea how strong that is? Especially against the highest level opposition that will always perfectly mid-check any Zen transition attempt. Do you have any idea how strong that is? In Tekken 7, if I go for back forward 2-3 Zen and I'm blocked, I will always be punished no matter what, because the people I play with are high level players. They are remarkable players, very strong players. Nowadays, the absolute best I can do with the most frame perfect Zen cancel is make it -14 so I can save myself from a hop kick. That is the reward I receive for having frame perfect Zen cancels. That is my reward for having the skills to be able to do something really unique and do it consistently. Just for perspective, my training partners, the people who play with me, they're mostly Tekken God Omegas in Tekken 7. They get absolutely terrified of my Jin in PS3 because they can't oppress me with a non-stop unreactable offense anymore. The linear moves that are magically homing on my Jin in Tekken 7 started to be exposed as what they are, or should be. Moves that you are supposed to deal with through pristine movement. When I play Oldschool Jin, I take my opponent's back or his side around 5 times per match on average, and I'm not even joking. And if I happen to take his actual side, like legit 90-degree angle, well,
Whether you like him or don't like him, there's nothing you could do about him because he's number one. Whether you like him or don't like him, there's nothing you can do about him because he's number one.
When we're talking about Jin, you really have to take into consideration what happened from Tekken Tag 2 to Tekken 7. Every single character came out from Tekken Tag 2 to Tekken 7 significantly stronger than the previous versions, pound for pound, except 3 characters in particular. They are Jin, Lars and Armor King. Then also Season 4 happened and Devil Jin was also murdered, so he's significantly weaker than his Tekken Tag 2 version pound for pound. Aside from these characters I mentioned, every other character was significantly buffed. They had their frame data buffed, they received generous and I would say absurd counter hit properties on millions of stuff, and most importantly, they only gained stuff that only complemented and added to their already existing game plan much more. Like, Hwoarang gained a freaking hell sweep inside his flamingo and an arsenal of panic buttons like baked back one, millions of power crushes, backlash, all that to compensate the terrible defense from Hwoarang players. Now they can press and press non-stop. Hwoarang never had reliable panic buttons like that, never. Once his turn ended, he had to deal with your offense, your pressure, and most would simply crumble when their turn ended because their defense, their actual Tekken defense, had to be tested to a point. Your Kazuya main man also only gained stuff. The addition of Demon Steel Paddle made his wake up wave 50-50 even more terrifying and brain dead, because you had to rely on the reactable down 3+4 stomp in order to make people get up and take your 50-50. You were always at the constant risk of being counter hit launched by a wake up low kick. Now you can murder people who dare to wake up kick Kazuya once he gets a knockdown. You also trade back 4-1 for the new back 4 spinning hook kick, which is a much better move. A fast, long range, safe homing counter hit launcher. Mind the range on this shit. Now when it comes to Jin, I pretty much lost the stuff that made him so powerful in the context of the previous games. And I won't even mention the sabotage movement. 1. The new dumb down wake up system hurt Jin the most among all Tekken characters. I went from the most sophisticated and oppressive Okizeme in the game to essentially a non-Okizeme. When I knock down an opponent, the most rational thing to do is to just let him get up because I can't hit him grounded if he knows what's up. 2. I lost my mainframe trap in FF4. The move completely lost its purpose for existing. 3. Down back 4 is now a joke of a move. Compare this down back 4 to what it used to be. And don't get me wrong, I was in favor of the down back 4 nerf in Tekken 7. I always considered Jin's down back 4 too overpowered. The problem is there was no counterbalancing. They made no compensation for the loss of the counter hit launchers. He retained the very same shitty propers as before, -13, weak plus, and also not hitting grounded. 4. My key move, F4, was significantly nerfed in 3 fronts simultaneously, but we already discussed that. And what did I receive in exchange? The electric, the freaking normal hit launch in electric. And don't get me wrong, I won't ever downplay the electric because I feel so blessed to have it. I really feel blessed to have it. And I really try to use this weapon to its fullest potential. I can't downplay the electric. I won't ever do it. But all that I'm saying is, contrary to Kazuya, I'm on the losing side of this exchange. You only gain, whereas I had to lose so much in order to receive a new weapon. For instance, let's watch Main Man's take on Tekken 8 Jin. Just for starters, I'm far from being a Tekken 8 Jin advocate. I'm actually a severe critic of Tekken 8 Jin, and I might do a very detailed breakdown about Tekken 8 Jin in the future. But let's focus on Main Man's take because this is precious info, so you can understand how deeply tainted his perspective is when it comes to Jin, and specifically Jin and always Jin.
In Tekken 8, they've made him much simpler to play. They have, unfortunately, made a lot of his attacks completely redundant, in my opinion. because he has a couple of options that just overshadow everything else. You can actually play Jin as a 2-move character in this game if you want. You can use forward 4 and down 2. These moves are completely busted. And then here comes the really, really, really disgusting stuff. Forward 4 in this game, I don't know why, it retains all of the properties it has in Tekken 7, like being safe on block, gigantic reach, strong damage. I mean, you see this reach, right? Retains all of that, but they made the pickup insanely easy. You don't even need to do that. Just run into a knee, a back 3. And that's it. You'll never drop this. It is so unbelievably lenient. Forward 4 is completely broken in this beta. This has to be changed. Like they made that pickup difficult for a reason in Tekken 7. It can't stay like this. It's super dumb.
Number 1. Everything Main Man said about Tekken 8 Jin F4 on his breakdown is absolutely true. He's absolutely correct on this. It is indeed an insult to serious Jin players who can 100% consistently convert the elite conversion from raw F4. This shouldn't ever be accessible. The player must earn it through elite execution. The player must earn this power. Main Man is absolutely correct.
And then the other move you're going to use is down 2. So this is his new low. It's actually baked into one. I'm not joking now. They baked into one low. This low, his hell sweep, this sweep, this low. All of those lows. Did you see all of those sexy lows I just showed you? You'll never use them because you'll only do this one. So why will you do this one? Well, like down 4, it's very evasive. Like down back 4 though, it gives you insane frames. This though, not only knocks down, what? Do I get a launch? Oh, a half-life almost. Okay, that's nice. And it's got more reach than the other lows, right? You see, right? Oh, it has more reach. Okay, more reach. And it tracks well. Oh, grounded? You see how it slides around the ground? You see how it spins around the ground? And you see the damage, right? You see the damage. Now here's the best part. This low is -14. It's not launch punishable. And gives big frames on hit. Much easier, he's very brain dead in the beta, which is why I've spent very little time with him. It's just not interesting. Just every Jin I run into it. Weaknesses on the character are too glaring. Great reads. Another one. Another one! You can't do that. You can't make a low so strong that all the other lows, you don't need them. And that's what made Jin interesting. I need evasion. Hold on, I need evasion. Whoop! I need frames. Do that one. I want the knockdown. I want Oki. No, you just do this.
Number 2. What he said about Tekken 8 Jin down 2 making his complex low game obsolete is also true, although he states that for the wrong reasons. And here lies the problem. He just can't accept the fact that Jin has a newfound power that he never had before. He never had this power. The power to close in from outside, slashing people from underneath. He never had this power. So he sugarcoats his discontent of Jin having this newfound power to appease his agenda from a Kazuya player perspective by saying, oh, it made his entire low game obsolete, which is partially true because Main Man conveniently doesn't want to address the elephant in the room, which is Jin down back 4. What should really happen to balance Tekken 8 Jin down 2 is to reduce the damage from 22 to 18, remove the overpowered baby mode counter hit launcher altogether, and cause a knockdown with guaranteed follow-up or the possibility of an elite combo conversion with heavy execution demands, while at the same time making Jin's down back 4 -12 on block. There's absolutely zero reason to go for down back 4 if it remains the -13 absolute pile of shit it was in Tekken 7. Just for perspective, Jin down back 4 being -12 would still be a much worse low than Kazuya down back 4. But Main Man is that tainted and biased against Jin, and he doesn't even mention how shitty is Jin down back 4 being +3, -13 and not hitting grounded, while his abomination Kazuya down back 4 is +4 to +5, -12 to -11, 100% tracks to both sides except Lily, and hits grounded as the icing on the cake. He wants Jin shitty down back 4 to remain the absolute pile of shit it currently is in Tekken 7, because he wants to be able to launch punish it with while standing 1-2, Kazuya's twin pistons, completely disregarding the fact Jin's down back 4 is the absolute worst low from this category. Exposed, no built-in evasion, chunky low pokes. Every single low from this category will either hit grounded, be much more plus, deal much more damage, or all of it together. But of course, Main Man doesn't give a single f***, disregarding the fact Jin's old school down back 4 was balanced to be a counter hit launcher from the start and not a counter hit knockdown.
Remember how down back 4 used to knock down on counter hit? Well, it doesn't do anything anymore on counter hit.
And you think it's alright? So to make matters even worse, Tekken 8 Jin down back 4 retained all its shitty properties, and now he doesn't get the counter hit knockdown as well. And you think it's alright? Your main complaint is Tekken 8 Jin down 2? Don't you see there's something profoundly wrong here? If you still insist Tekken 8 Jin down back 4 should be +3, -13, not hit grounded, and now no counter hit knockdown, you are simply biased and you have an agenda here. Tekken 8 Jin down back 4 is working like Kazuya down back 4, except it is worse in every single category. That is precisely why I'm saying that it must be -12, because it even lost the counter hit knockdown reward it previously had. I'm not even asking for it to hit grounded or having a bigger plus like everyone else, but for God's sake make it -12. If you insist Jin down back 4 should remain this insulting pile of shit, then you deserve every single ounce of suffering that is coming for you with Tekken 8 Jin down 2. A completely broken low that will give Jin a power he never had. This suffering will be 100% deserved if nothing is done. If Tekken 8 Jin down back 4 is not fixed, people deserve to suffer, and I hope it's not fixed until they actually fix and properly balance his entire low game by addressing the elephant in the room, which is down back 4. If you disagree with me on this, I expect you to suffer with ordinary brain dead Jin players in Tekken 8, Jin players that you would absolutely demolish in Tekken 7, until you see my point. Trust me when I say that is exactly what is going to happen. People will be terrorized so much by Tekken 8 Jin down 2, you have no idea. Trust me, I know my character. This is a newfound power he never had, and he's not supposed to have this power. Take note that he complains about Tekken 8 Jin having a newfound power in down 2. Meanwhile, Tekken 8 Kazuya down forward 3+4, 1-2, 17 frame string dealing 70 plus damage while being a natural hit confirmable wall splat, far stronger than old school Lydia Political Storm hit confirm. According to him, it's perfectly fine because it appeals to old school Kazuya, yada yada yada.
And it's wall splats. And that's also his new wall combo. And it's even more fun if you do this one, obviously. Counter it, natural combo, bound, wall combo, and it just does 1,000,000 damage. I think it should do 1,000,000 damage because it takes me back to old school Kazuya, like Tekken 5. Where, like Akuma, he has basically a one touch of death. Like, that kills at the wall. In my opinion, Kazuya should have stuff like that. Legacy Kazuya always had.
Just to clarify, I'm personally completely in favor of Kazuya having this down forward 3+4, 1-2 hit confirmable absurdity, provided there's no pushback on the launch punishable energy geyser on the last hit, and it must not be a wall splat under any circumstance. Just like Lydia's Political Storm was never a wall splat from release Lydia already. But I'm just mentioning this new Kazuya string in Tekken 8 just so you can grasp, just so you can understand how biased and how tainted is main man's perspective when it comes to Kazuya and Jin respectively. He's so tainted by selective blindness that he doesn't see the hypocrisy in here. When Kazuya receives newfound powers, when he becomes more flexible, it is alright, it is perfectly fine. But when Jin receives a powerful low, when Jin receives a newfound power, now all hell breaks loose. My conclusion is that main man harbors some form of resentment toward Jin because he can't fathom the fact that there is a character designed for virtual perfection and that this character happens to be vastly more demanding than his main, who also happens to be an advanced character. You can't deny that, just not even close to the extent of Jin. That would explain why he's so biased against him. It is a way to rationalize his flawed theory that Kazuya is supposedly the hardest character in the game and the most advanced and demanding character in the game. That's pretty much it. If this video ever reaches main man, I just want you to know that I'm deeply appreciative of your content. I sincerely admire your passion for Kazuya, your dedication to this character, and I can perfectly understand the struggles of a Kazuya player. What I mean is, I know where you're coming from. I can understand why you say the things you say. I can perfectly understand it. I can totally understand your resentment towards the 40 plus crutch characters in Tekken that completely carried the player, giving insane rewards for absolutely no player skill demands. I completely understand your sentiment and where you're coming from. We're actually on the same side. I don't know why there is this hostility from Kazuya players towards Jin players, but I mean, it is what it is. I really meant no disrespect and I wish you all the best. Keep doing your thing. I love watching your Kazuya. So that's it for today, guys. If you dig my Tekken content, if you like my content, please consider subscribing. It helps me so much, you have no idea. Don't forget to subscribe. I thank you for watching this video and until next time, God bless.